Whoops. Good morning. Welcome to Fallawsophy. I'm your host, Jennifer Fallaw-Doering, and today we've got some Jentel and some thoughts over coffee. Looks like we've got a lot of people in here today. I see you all. I see you commenting. Good morning. Yay. Well, we're all excited waiting to see if anything happens today on the RV front. That seems to be the buzz. And also Trump, I didn't get to watch the whole thing, but Trump did a press conference this morning. I don't know if I basically saw the part where he's talking about illegal aliens and the horrors that they have committed inside of our country. And that is terrible. But I don't know if that's still going on. But I wanted to get a live in today because I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it on Thursday. And if we all have, the wonderful appointments possible that we could have on Thursday, then I won't be able to do one. Okay, so let's do a recap. Yesterday I put out some Jentel. Let's get the banner. Bink, there it is. All right. So yesterday on Real News Live on Rumble, with Real News Live with Mike and Jen on Rumble, if you want to go look at that, I put this out, and I also put it out in written form on Fallawsophy on Telegram and Jennifer Fallaw-Doering on Telegram, and that is circulating. So this is interdimensional meditation for October 28th, 2024. I met with Archangel Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, Raphael, and Haniel. Michael is strength, Gabriel is the messenger, Uriel we speak to for universal concepts, Raphael healer, Haniel joy, hope and joy. RV news. The Admiral is going to make the call to proceed with Tier 4B this week. He wants the people to have money in hand to make it through the transition that is coming. Now, we don't know if that's a political transition. We don't know what transition we're talking about. Financial, political, all at once. We'll see. He is waiting on a confirmation call, and that was tonight. That would have been last night. That the other tiers are completed enough to proceed, and that would be a call from the U.S. Treasury. I kind of got that they need most of the work to be done, so it frees up the employees to handle the Treasury accounts and setting that up. Okay. I really believe they need to get this done now, before the election. All right. Other news, the election. The winner will be determined early. And when Mike and I were talking about that yesterday, we felt that that would be determined earlier in the day. Not like before election day, but like as the election day progresses, he'll have gotten enough votes, maybe all the electoral votes that he needs to be determine the winner. Donald Trump will be the winner. That is my prediction. If I'm wrong, that's not good. That's not good if I'm wrong. I don't think about that. We'll deal with each day as it comes, okay? The reason he wants you to vote early is so his base has a chance to be recorded before any unanticipated illegal activity occurs on election day. So that's why he's been pushing go vote early, so we get those tallied now. The only thing they can do to steal now, and Uriel said this, is dumping of ballots. If all goes well with the election and the RV, bricks BRICS may wait until February when he's in to announce gold. Okay? That doesn't mean they don't pull everybody out of office and put Grassley in between election and inauguration. It doesn't mean, I don't know, if they, maybe that's our in-country RV. I don't know if it's announced. I don't know if that is when we're actually all on gold currency. I don't know. Just reporting what I'm hearing here. Don't shoot the messenger. But that is an option. They also may just do it today. So we'll see. Okay? Everything I'm hearing after I put the Jentel out I've been getting confirmations that, inside sources are saying today, tomorrow as well. So they're all expecting it any minute now for the RV to move into our tier. Okay? So, exciting week. It's going to be an exciting week next week. But we do need to prepare just in case he is announced the winner. That's when you're going to see all these minions coming out of the woodwork and creating chaos. So if the dark side, the cabal, whoever's left in there, and whoever's funding all these minions they flooded the border with, lose, it's only natural we should expect some kind of backlash. So be prepared at home. Stock up. We've been stocked up all this time, but, maybe top it off. Fuel, water, food, alternate heat source. You know how I am with this stuff. Just make sure you got some way. If you run out of gas, or for the generator, if you run out of, propane, whatever it is, make sure you got something you could burn wood or something in outside and put a pot on. All right. You can also heat up food by taking a few bricks. A couple bricks on the bottom, 2 on the side. Put some candles in there. Put the pot on top. Okay? That's why everybody should have cast iron. I'm not going to go off on that tangent again. But you know how I am. We'll have to survive. Okay? So we don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. I'll take a look at that when we get closer to it. Okay? Because right now, so many pieces are moving, and there's so many possibilities right now. I do believe we all get to the same destination eventually. But we'll see how it goes. We don't know what's hiding in the bushes. All right? So that's a Jentel for this week. And if I get anything else, I will post that. Let's move on to Thoughts Over Coffee. Give me a minute to go through my notes that I type on my phone to myself. I wish it wouldn't post it twice. It's annoying. All right. Now, if anybody's been around from my God theory, we know that God, if you take a look at God and the dimensions and all the pieces of himself, everything is housed within the body of God. People take that a little bit too far, that concept. So you want to think God as a bullseye, okay, and the dimensions around him, okay? And he separated himself in order to make us and everything else so that he could experience. And truly be all-knowing. So if you look at it as a bullseye, God's going to be the big dot in the middle. That is where the highest of vibration is. Just like a campfire, it's the hottest in the center. And then when you move away from it, it's, less and less and less heat, less concentrated. The same thing is true for vibration. Okay? And every separation of self of God, us, our true selves, must exist at a different vibrational spectrum. I don't know why we have gnats in the house. I cannot find it. So they're just floating around. It's not that it's dirty in here. Okay. I have no idea. So every separation of self must exist at a different vibrational spectrum, or it gets sucked back into the center of the bullseye. All right. And if it is true that the center of the bullseye is the highest of vibration, then lower vibrational emotions and thoughts and all of those things cannot exist there. That's going to exist on the outer rings of the bullseye. Okay? So, yes, everything is housed within the body of God, because without him there is nothing. But there are pieces of himself that have become corrupted over time and exist at a very low vibration. Okay? So people mix this concept up and believe that God is an angry God. God is mad at me. God is punishing me. God is hurting me. God is doing all these things to me. No. Because in order for creation and experience to exist, you had to be given free will. And that is not messed with, because that is God's will, that you have free will, and you have got, that's ultimate freedom of thought, of free will. And so you can become corrupted if you want to. If that's what you choose to experience, that's what you're going to experience. And it does, we don't like it, but if you think about it, it's only probable. In existence, there is a up and a down and a right and a left and a dark and a light and a back and a forward and everything else. Okay? There's a duality to everything. It's only probable that some pieces would choose to experience lower vibrational emotions and act on it. And when they act on that, that is a corruption of self. And they get darker and darker and darker, and nothing is ever destroyed within the body of God. It just moves. It just goes to a different place. And so those lower vibrational entities, if they were living in a body, would go to the ring around the bullseye, the dimension, when they leave the body, that matches theirs. And the dimensions are a vibrational spectrum, okay? So the confusion here is that, well, that may exist within the body of God, and we have seen evidence. Now, could I be wrong and something exists outside the body of God? Yes. In truth, everything spiritual is theory until we get home. Everything. But there is enough evidence to support this one. So, at the center, there is no hate. There is no anger. He's not lacking anything. There's no desire to hurt or torture or manipulate. When you were given freedom, there is ultimate truth at the center. There is nothing but love and knowledge. Now, when I talk about love, people are like, well, you're just like all wrapped up in this. I'm not talking about romantic love. I'm talking about the vibration of loving thoughts and goodness. Love houses giving, kindness, generosity, romantic love, yes, love for animals, nature, children, joy, all these things would be in the vibrational spectrum of and classified as love. Okay? So that's what I'm talking about. Goodness. So, one of the reasons that Jesus came was to teach us that. And along the way, the rulers of the world who would like to control humanity say, oh, well, we can't have them knowing that. They're going to figure us out. You know, we got to be able to control these people. So give us our money, and we need the worker bees so that we can stay above them. Then they'll tell you they're good and they're doing everything for you and all this stuff, but what you see and what you experience are completely different. Then they'll try to convince you you're wrong and you're crazy and you don't, what you think you know is not true. And if you don't do this and you don't do that, then God's going to condemn you and God hates you and God's going to hurt you and it's all coming from him. When it's really coming from the lower vibrational entities who would like to control the pieces of God. That is peeling back the layers of the program that we've been in for hundreds and hundreds or thousands of years. Okay? And so if you embrace love itself, goodness, giving, caring, kindness, that's really all you have to do. Because when you do that over and over, and and another part of that is, hang on, when Jesus taught us turn the other cheek. Love your enemies. I had a hard one with that. That was hard for me growing up. It's like, why? They don't deserve it. Why would I embrace somebody who's so terrible to me or to others? Because what he was teaching was not to engage with the enemy. Of course, we protect ourselves, but there's a limit. Some people become too involved in that, and they get pulled into this endless cycle of jealousy and hate and greed and all these things, revenge. And the dark side will bait you. They'll try to pull you in. They'll try to pull you in at every turn. And especially those vibrating lower than you right now, like you've been on a spiritual journey and you've learned and you've grown, they're going to pull you back down with you. And it's not conscious. They're not like, let me see if I can lower this person's vibration and come back down. No. They just know that you not fighting with them is very irritating. And they don't like that. But it is exactly what we've been told to do. Because continuing, you state your truth, you defend yourself, do what you have to do. Physically, mentally, whatever. But after that, staying centered in that cycle diminishes you and your vibration. So that's what turn the other cheek means. Pick your battles. Excuse me, my nose right. Pick your battles. And so I was thinking about it. And there's people that talk about 5D and 3D and vibration and holiness. And, you're going to come out there and you're going to be holier than thou. That's not high vibrational. That's elevating yourself up above another. That's a no-no. Okay? Because if we look at everybody, we're gonna evaluate people's actions and what they're doing and see if that fits into our life, if that's destructive to us or dangerous to us. Absolutely, yes, because we're having a physical experience right now. Okay, But we don't have to stay centered in that. I lost my place. We don't have to stay centered in that. So, what we're doing and what we've been doing over time, we need to focus on our journey. We have a lot of people connected with our journey, and that's for a reason. Okay. So we try, what we aspire to be is Christ like. Okay. Um, because he still, to this day, is the best example that we have. And he came to teach us that. But he came to teach us about who God really is, and that you're not hated and condemned, and you're not experiencing this because it's inflicted upon you, and not every storm is, you know, raining terror down on you from God, and you can't just blame God for everything, okay? Yeah, it's probably a banana in the kitchen. Somebody said gnats on the bananas. Yeah. I looked for a banana. I couldn't find one. So I don't know if somebody had something in the room or went, I don't know. Sometimes during this time of year, they just come through the screens from outside when you mow. But anyway, I was taking a look at our journey, our personal journey. We talk about timelines, okay? The more positive choices you make for yourself along the way and for those around you, I believe you kind of shift timelines. And I'm learning about that right now. It's very interesting. Um, don't know a whole lot yet, but I will. Um, but I was taking a look at our collective path as a spiritual journey with this political transition. The truthers, all the things that we've learned. And this whole time we're looking at this oasis up ahead. Someday we're going to see this good change. We're going to have that freedom that we seek. Financially and politically, things are going to be easier. And along the way, the more truths you find out, I didn't even move with the light. The more truths that you find out, the more things that you learn, the more programming peels away, and we start to see things more clearly. It's like, why didn't I see it before? Well, you didn't know. So all this time we've been looking ahead to this oasis of freedom. For some, it's been many, many years. For some, it's been 4 years. And I was like, why has it taken so long? Step away from those in charge of this thing and take a look at your own spiritual story timeline that you wrote for this lifetime. It takes time to learn things. And if you learn too much too fast, you don't absorb it. It's not known. When you learn things slowly, they become known. And it changes who you are. It changes the way that you think. And we have been searching and reaching for truth. And so we embrace higher vibrational ways of trains of thought. Some of us have an internal calling. And we don't really know what that is yet, but it's pulling us forward. And we don't even know how we got here, some of us. But so if we take a look at our personal timelines and step back from, well, it's because all the white hats have been taking their sweet ass time. I really don't think that's true. But now look back on this time and recognize how much you've grown. And if you take a look at it that way, it makes a lot of sense. It also makes a lot of sense why the people around you, while you've been growing, told you that everything's your fault with the relationship that fell apart or the job that you couldn't stand anymore or couldn't accept anymore because you found out whatever, vaccine giving people vaccines was hurting people or whatever it was. Things start to fall away in the way that we used to live and the things that were acceptable at a time before we knew these things. I don't know. I've been messing with the settings. I have no idea. I think the computer's too close to me, but so along our path, people have been in the spiritual community for a long time. They've been, I think the spiritual community is the first truthers. Okay, we've been searching for answers about God, about spirituality, about who we really are, about everything that is present in our physical dimension and beyond for a long time. And they will tell you that the more that they learn, the more that no longer suits them or doesn't match up with who they are now falls away. And in a very simple sense, I say it's not that you're any better than anybody else. It's just that you chose to look for the truth, embrace the joy, embrace goodness and kindness and all these things. And some people don't want to learn. They go to school, they go to college, and they figure, well, I've made it. I'm just going to do my job every day. Be a weekend warrior, go have some fun, and that's it. But if you start coming out with all these big concepts and everything that you want them to learn with you, and they don't want to do it, that's gonna create a rift between you. And if you're with somebody who's lower vibrational, and that's it just depends on where they are right now, what they're thinking, what they embrace. They're gonna blame you, and they're gonna say you're the one that changed. Well, yeah, I did. I grew. Is what happened. And along the way, what we do is we start to see the behaviors that we accepted before as unacceptable now. And we start to stand up for ourselves because we start to state the truth. And it's liberating to state the truth. It really is. Instead of fighting, you could just say, that's abusive. I don't like that. I'm not accepting that anymore. People don't like that. Because they like it when they have a punching bag, or they like it when they have somebody to unload on, or they like to stay in the old easy way of getting mad at everything and blaming everyone else for everything. They don't want to take a look at themselves. Well, let's get back to looking at a story, our life story, our book of life, our journey. You come in alone and you leave alone, okay? Everybody's got one. Wisdom would say, well, maybe that's what they wrote for themselves, or maybe they decide to open up more later. But this is why this time in history has created so many rifts in the families and in relationships and careers that were our identity no longer fit. And then people come to you and they'll say, you know what? This is your fault. And I'm going to need you to shrink back down into these parameters that I feel is acceptable for you. because I don't feel comfortable with what you think now and the way you're acting now and everything else. It's like, well, that would be damaging to the soul. And there's got to be a reason. It's not mental illness. Yeah, there's some people with mental illness, but not everybody's crazy. There's a group of souls that came here at this time, and I said it before, to be an example, to be the ones that learn it first, so that they can tell the story. You know, and I think a lot of those people found their way into the truther community. Doesn't mean that we're better than anybody else. Doesn't mean that we are smarter than anybody else. It just means that we chose to open up at this time and experience this and move forward into a place where we are not shackled by the limitations of society anymore, and to make a difference for tomorrow's generation. And if nobody ever does that, then society would continue to deteriorate because of the programming. I'm not even moving. Because of the programming that is inflicted upon them. I thought the most wholesome thing that my kids could watch was like Disney Channel and Nickelodeon when they were kids. And we watched it all day long. It was on TV all day long. And it's just like heartbreaking. You know, when I found out about Disney and I was like, oh my God. We can recite every line from most of the shows that the kids watched on the Disney Channel for so many years. I mean, we could go and do a trivia show on that stuff. I didn't know. I didn't know. But then when you find these things out, you know, just like Halloween decorations. Years ago, I can't remember what year it was, but it was a while ago. Had to be after 14 because Brett and I were together. It was probably the end of 2014, and we had a big Halloween party for Katie's birthday right before Halloween, and we just tricked the house out because Brett had boys or has boys. And just, I had like a graveyard in the front yard. And, you know, severed hands coming out from the ground and everything. And I noticed we had this party and everybody had a good time. The kids were, you know, elementary school age. Let's see, Faith was in middle school. Yeah, so the rest of them were all elementary school. And it was a good time. But I didn't take the decorations down right away. I left them up for a couple weeks, and I noticed that it wasn't, I don't have a household where people yell a lot. I never have. I wasn't raised that way, so we just don't do that. I mean, if there's an argument, yeah, but it's usually pretty short. And everybody just started fighting. I didn't understand what was going on. I was trying to find out why everybody was fighting. This is before I was doing cleanses, house cleanses and things like that. Well, was I doing house cleanses? Yeah, it must have been right before the house cleanses, but I was communicating with the angels. And so I'm sitting out on the front steps, just totally confused about what's going on in the household. Why is everybody in such a bad mood? I mean, it's just all the time lately. And so I'm sitting there and I look up and Archangel Michael's standing in the middle of my graveyard in my front yard. You know, mind's eye. And I asked him, I said, what can I do to help everybody get back to happy, you know? And he looks down at the graveyard and he says, why do you have these things in your yard? I'm like, well, it's Halloween. And he said, this is advertising that these kinds of entities are welcome in your home. And I was like, really? And they're just plastic things. I got most of the crap at the dollar store. I mean, like, he says, it doesn't matter. When you put out that you embrace, like, killing things, severed hands, blood everywhere, terrible acts, things like that, he said, you can have negative spirits walk in and they will create chaos within your family. And I'm like, okay. So I didn't know what to do. So I took all this stuff and I spent all this money on all this stuff for this party. And so I'm like, God, I can't just throw it away. So I put it in like double white. I'm like, okay, white trash bags. So I put it all double white trash bags and I went and put it in the garage, all closed up and everything. And I'm thinking, oh, I'll give it to somebody else, if they like that. But then I felt bad about it because I'm like, well, then you're going to, and so it just kind of changed my whole perspective on the thing. It wasn't that I was worried you put something out and, oh my God, now we've got demons and we're all possessed. No, it was just, it invited that energy into the home. So from then on, we did do Halloween decorations, but it was more like cute, like bats and little ghosts and cats and pumpkins and things that weren't so gory. That year, because the boys were there, they wanted all this gory, demonic looking stuff, And when I took everything down and I put it away, all of a sudden, all the anger was gone. Everybody got happy again. I'm like, whoa, I just learned something major there. So you draw to you that which you project, that which you advertise, that which you put out. Okay? So if you're walking around brooding, road rage, pushing your way past people, being mean to people, getting on shows or chats and just dumping your negative energy and all your crap on people. What are you putting out? And then what will find you? It's really about the energies. Okay? So a lot of us over time, and especially, the older you get, that's why I've always loved old people. Because they're wise. And so the older you get, the more lessons you learn, and then you alter your behavior, okay? But a lot of us, when we've been uncovering these truths, and we've been embracing our faith, and looking forward ahead to this oasis someday, where things would be better and easier for us and our loved ones and all of that, we stopped doing a lot of that stuff. And so people that are still doing that don't like you. They get annoyed by you. It's fight with me. They'll bait you. Fight with me. I was like, I don't have time for that. All right? Because I'm over here trying to create happiness in my own life. Okay? I don't have time for, for your counseling session today. I'm not going to get involved in all of your tornado of negative energy over there, right? Because I don't got time for it anymore. I've grown. That doesn't mean we don't express our feelings. But I think what you guys have found that over time, you become a little more wise in the way that you express your feelings. I have. Damn it with the light. I communicate better. Instead of yelling and screaming and starting out with you did this and you did that and you're this and you're that, you're always going to lose when you do that. because a person's going to jump to defense immediately. They're not listening to you. If you really want them to understand why you're acting the way you are or why you feel the way you are, then start with, this is how I'm feeling because this is what I've experienced from you. Did you mean that? And give them the opportunity to explain to you what they're going through. And so then now you've opened up a conversation and you probably solve the problem within a half an hour and not like 2 weeks. And it doesn't escalate into something big. Now, these shadow figure negative entities that are walking around that we don't see, they'll latch on to somebody or follow somebody around that they've seen about, and then they'll go home with them and they'll start churning it up. All right, how can we create chaos here? How can we lower the vibration of all these human batteries that we'd like to draw energy from? So, understanding. So I've been looking, people have been saying, well, this time has been so hard in my life. I've lost so many and everything's changed and everything just falling apart and stuff. Well, sometimes things fall away for a reason. And when you're in the middle of that, it seems like the end of the world. Sometimes it's not. And sometimes it takes time to learn all these lessons and to grow so that we're at a place where we can make the choice to move on into good things like doing humanitarian projects and giving and living in a state of joy. So when you look back on this time, if it's terribly hard to take a look at it from a different perspective. Change your perspective and take a look at it as well. How does this make sense on my life plan? This fell away and that fell away and this fell away and that fell away. It sounds like I'm preparing to move on to something better. Okay? So find hope in that. And it makes sense that we wrote in this oasis in the future, in the distance. Because that, and then we get so upset that we've had to wait so long. But that is the very thing that pulled us through the journey we had to walk through to become who we are now. So don't hate the journey and don't curse how long it's taken to get to that oasis. Because it's the oasis and the vision of it in the future that got you through it. And you had to get through it. It's the very thing that gave you the reason and the hope to become who you are now. So, in hindsight's 2020, 2040 maybe. But sometimes if we just change our perspective for a minute and take a look back. Now, yes, people who don't want to go with you, people that don't like that, they're going to blame you. You ruined the family because you're not sitting over in this, you're not sitting over here saying all these terrible things about people anymore. You're not like talking about people in the corner and laughing. You're not engaging in all these behaviors that we always used to do anymore. What do you think, you're better than everybody? Like, no, well, I just don't think that's a good representation of who I am or who I should be. I think it's a good rule in life. You're not going to figure everything out in the beginning. At any point in time, any door you step through, you're going to try to figure the whole thing out. It's never going to look the way you thought it would. Okay? Just try to do or be a little bit better the next year than you were this year. And you're good. But the turning the other cheek thing, It's not for them. Oh, it is in the end. But it's for you. It diffuses the situation. You're saying no to that lower vibrational emotion and conflict, and you're just saying, you know what? That's kind of a waste of time for me now to stay centered in that, resolve the situation. But if somebody wants to keep churning that and keep fighting you and keep attacking you and keep doing all that, really says a lot more about where they are and them than it does about you. So this gives us strength. And then we lean on God, Jesus, and help me resist this temptation to stay centered in this negative cycle. Okay? And they will. They will help you. So just understand, yes, it has been tedious and it has been long and it has been hard. This journey that we've walked together. Dr. Sarah is in there saying some pretty good stuff. Good job, Dr. Sarah. I'm telling Dr. Sarah a good job. She's probably like knows much more than me. But I call it shining. Shining is when you let the true essence of who you are, and at the very core, it's the same as the center of the bullseye. And it is only this physical reality and the people and the programming and the suffering that goes on in people that they want to project on you. All the games that we have to play and the ways we have to defend ourselves so that we can survive here and not be devoured. I must be shining today. See, you guys all think it's the camera. I just do that to freak you out. Just kidding. Any minute now. All right, now it's really just gone. Stop it. Nobody move. Okay. What did Dr. Sarah say? That was good. When people accuse you of something specifically negative, they're accusing you of what they are being because they assume that if they think that and they're doing that and they feel that way, so do you. Because they assume that that is normal behavior. You know, we can overlook things when we're not aware of them. Like when I was growing up, Dad was an alcoholic. I didn't really know that. I just thought he'd fell asleep on the couch sometimes, and sometimes he was kind of mean. I didn't realize that until I got older and Mom told me, oh yeah, Dad's an alcoholic. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that. I didn't see that fault. I just thought that was normal behavior. When I used to go to friends' house, I remember this one day I went to a friend's house and everybody's yelling at each other. I'm like, oh my God, why is everybody fighting? And my friend goes, they're not fighting. But that was normal behavior for them. Everybody yelled at each other. Everybody called each other names. Everybody was, and for me, that's like, people in my house only yelled if something major happened, or to be heard over something else. So it wasn't normal for me. But you just don't realize until you know the difference how we're really acting, what we're really doing. You think it's normal behavior, but it's not. We don't know what's hidden beneath the surface until we lift the lid, you know? But I'm running out of time. But my point here today, we're going into a time where Donald Trump very well could win the election. So we may encounter this again. We may encounter the backlash. We may encounter the family members, saying terrible things like, oh, he's Hitler and now we're all screwed. And you trying to explain to them, well, we've been screwed this whole time and now it's going to get better. And they're not going to know. I mean, when he was in last time, we had enough time just to barely see a difference. They're not going to understand until they see the difference, until they go from the shouting house to the peaceful house. Okay? Let's not get pulled in to the same old fight, because you're not going to win until they're ready to see the difference. Okay? I feel it coming. And for those attacking me, I'm just going to tell you a few things, and this is God honest truth, and I don't have a lot of time to explain this, but here it is. Scroll back here. It was the first thing. All right. I have become aware over the years that, not that I'm any better than anybody else, but this is my path. I've really learned about who I am, who I really am. I've always been soft-hearted, and most of my life I've been taken advantage of because of it. I can honestly say in good conscience that I cannot remember a time when I intentionally tried to deceive or hurt anybody. Have people been hurt by my decisions? Probably, like when you didn't want to be with somebody and they were in love with you and you had to break up. Yeah. But it was not my intention to hurt them. It was just my intention to honor my own feelings. And it's important that we do that. But my sneaky ulterior motive is in everything. People that know me really well know this. And everything that I do is to bring you closer to God. That's it. Whatever I teach you, what other methods, meditation, psychic development, it's all basically just helping you find the same close personal connection that I have found from walking my path that has brought me so much comfort. And that is a close personal relationship with God. I get so much backlash because people don't want to do their homework. And if they were sit through at least one whole show with me, they would never say the things they do to me. But they don't. Because they don't want to know. They just want to lash out. Do I have to make a living at what I do? Yeah, because I chose to do it full time. I'm that serious about it. So yeah. So I take donations. And I ask God to provide for me so that I can do this work, and He has. So argue with that. But I usually give more than I take. My specialty in this lifetime is showering you in grace. And what is grace? It's opening your eyes. It's opening your eyes up to God and who you truly are. And that you have never been alone. And that you never have to feel alone. And you never have to do anything alone. And there is plenty of assistance available to you if you peel back these layers of programming that make you believe lies about who you are and what you're capable of. And that is my mission. That is my goal. If you guys were to come to my house, I'm a normal person the rest of the time. If I'm not on his screen or if I'm not doing a reading, totally normal. I kid around, laugh, and, cuss, all kinds of stuff. All kinds of faults, all right? Not perfect. But there is one thing that is true. And it is that. And every time I start to really fully, when I stop holding back and I start doing that, there are those that try to stop me. And I'm no longer accepting that. Because I've grown through this time. Especially, I've been growing for a long time, but especially the time that I've spent with you guys. To a place where I feel strong enough in knowing who I truly am that I don't have to do that anymore. I don't have to shrink down into the parameters or the little box that makes whoever it is comfortable with themselves and not be me. So I don't care about the backlash. I don't care about the opinions of some people that pop up in chats or who want to talk bad about me or call me evil. If anybody spends any time with me or knows me, you'll feel the love. You'll feel the effort. You will see it. And I have gotten to a place where I stand strong enough and I am determined enough to be that person who's been screaming all this time to get out of those parameters in that box that I've been put in, that I'm not getting back in it. And you shouldn't either. All right? And anybody that wants to tell you that they are holier than thou, well, people who live in glass houses should not throw stones. Because that statement in itself is low vibrational. And those actions to condemn somebody when they're trying to do something good for others says a lot more about them than it does about you or me. So remember, as we go through the next couple weeks, which is going to be pretty exciting, and I'm hoping the RV is involved in that. You pray for that one. Pretty sure. Okay? We don't know what we're going to get hit with. And if you've got family members who don't like who you've become, and they see something happen that they don't like, they're going to be on the rampage. You turn the other cheek and maybe sit them down and say, listen, we're never going to come together on our opinions here. But maybe the light could work so I could finish the show. Because I have a reading in like 10 minutes. Oh my goodness, hang on a second. I don't even know why this is happening. Moving too much. Okay. maybe we could just ask them, listen, I'm okay if you believe those things. Do you think maybe you could be okay with what I believe? And maybe we could just let each other be who we are. And if they don't want to do that, you made the effort to solve the situation. And if they don't want to do that, that's when you turn the other cheek. Because all they want to do is fight. Because they want to unload their frustration and all their anger and everything on you. And even turning the other cheek, you're going to set an example. You're going to show them who you've become now. Because that behavior and that energy is no longer a good representation of who we are anymore. It is the exact enemy that we have been fighting all this time. And we're not going to give it any room or any power in our head or our hearts. So if someone or something no longer suits where you're going, sad, but keep going. Okay? I could talk about this all day long. Well, you know how I just trail off. I could talk about anything all day long. But I got to get going. People are going to call me. Word is we are waiting for news sometime today on the RV. Tentative. We will see. Either way, I think there was a reason for the waiting when it comes to your personal path. And I know there was in mine. Okay? Let it all go. Be present where we are now. And we're going to stand strong in a long line together, arm in arm, and we're going to move forward. Okay? Okay. Let's see, did I miss anything? Nope. I think that's it. And let's wait for the slide here. I don't know. Oh, okay. Let me move. All right, guys, have a great day.